Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My hair's a mess, my room's a mess, my life's a mess, but we're just gonna go with it. So, I actually literally just sat down and planned a completely different video and got to my bookshelf to start pulling the books off the shelves that I wanted to talk about today, and I didn't feel like filming it. I felt like filming something different, so here we go. This is a very spur of the moment idea. I didn't even have it written down on my calendar to post, but this is what I felt like filming, so we're just gonna go with it. So, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about all of the books that I really want to reread and really soon. Like, I have a craving in my heart for all of these characters and all of these books, and I just miss them and the world, and I need to read them. So, that's what we're going to talk about today. I think I have like 6 books on this list, so let's get started. I've already read these, so I'll be able to give you a little bit of a synopsis for all of them, but I suck at synopses, so don't expect it to be good. Why am I a booktuber? Okay, so the first one I talked about in my booktube newbie tag, and I think Amanda Reads commented on there and said that she really wanted to read it, and it made me so happy because it's literally one of my favorite books, and that is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I absolutely loved this book. It was like the book that I read right before I found booktube, and I have so many good memories attached to it, and it makes me just so happy. And as you can see, this copy is slightly beat up, like some of the edges are coming up. It's not too bad. It looks a lot worse in person, but like I love it, and I really want to reread it and see if I still like love it. So it makes me kind of nervous to reread it, but it was so good. So this is a summary contemporary but not lighthearted. There are a few different romances in it. It's about these 2 twins, and it's told with different timelines and both of their like perspectives. So Jude is telling one timeline, and I think Noah is the other one. Yep. Noah is telling the other timeline. So I think Noah is telling the present and Jude is telling the past. No. It's the opposite. Okay, so Jude is telling the, Noah is telling the past, Jude is telling the present, and, it's so heartbreaking. It takes place after a very traumatic event that separates them, and talks about, like, what it was like when it happened, or I think right before it happened, and then what happened, like, a few years later. Jude has shut down. She used to be like the completely popular girl, and Noah, he used to do art, and he like shuts down from that, and like it's so good. Art is a really big part of this story, and it's not something that it's like my forte. I'm not good at art. I wish I was, but like I loved it in this book. I don't know why. It was so well done, and so I really want to reread this. It took me a while to read, I'm not gonna lie, but I cried 5 times in this book, and it was so intense. I loved it, so I really need to reread it. The next 2 are both fantasies. I have a lot of fantasy on this list, and it is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I read this during a really trying time in my life, and we're not going to get into it because it doesn't really matter anymore, but this book was like my outlet, and like it was my escape away from reality, as most books are for most people, but I was completely immersed in this world. I cared so much about the characters, and I couldn't wait to get to A Court of Mist and Fury because everyone said it was like so good. And so this book like means a lot to me, and I remember reading the last 100 pages. I was in the car going somewhere, and I like looked at my mom and I was like, oh my gosh, and I didn't have A Court of Mist and Fury with me, and it was traumatic because I had to wait a few days to come back home to read it. So that part was not fun, but like the rest of this book was so fun, and I really want to reread it because I had so much love for this series. I read this one, and then the next month I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and then I had to wait a month for A Court of Wings and Ruin, and that took me until like June to finish, but I finished it, and I liked it. But A Court of Mist and Fury, that's where it's at, and I miss it a lot. I didn't care so much for Akfas, but the first 3 I was in love with. The next one is by the same author, so I'm sure you can guess, and that is Throne of Glass. I really want to complete this series because I never actually have. I got all the way up to Air, Fire, and then just didn't read them, so I really want to reread them. I started my reread over the summer and obviously didn't even complete this one, so I really want to reread it. It got marked red on Goodreads for last year, so Goodreads said I read 53 books instead of 52, but I didn't. But I really want to reread this. I remember loving Crown of Midnight, and I kind of liked Air of Fire, but I really want to try it again and see if I like it more. And then I really want to read Queen of Shadows and everything. So this one's high up there too. I realized that there are 6 books on this list, but there are 2 more on my shelf that I might pull out because I really want to reread those too. And I just didn't grab them because they're hard to reach. Yeah, so there might be 8. The next one is another series, but I have completed this series, and that is the To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han series. I loved this series. I again read this whole series last year, and I read one a month, I think, and it was so good. And I don't know, I've been craving some Laura Jean in my life. I don't know why, but I want to reread them, especially in preparation for the second movie. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's coming out, and I'm excited about it, so I really want to reread this as well. I haven't been giving descriptions. See, I suck at this. This one is about a girl who, she writes lists okay. She writes letters to all of her crushes as kind of like a way to get over them, and then she puts them in a hat box, never intends to send them, but they're like addressed and everything and ready to go, and something happens, all the letters get sent out, and all of these people come to her and they're like, you like me? And she's like, that was from my past, you were never meant to read that. But there was a time when I felt that way, and so she has to deal with that, and things happen. If you've seen the movie, you know some things happen, but the books are better. Next book that I have been craving a reread of, and I think it might be like my favorite book of all time, is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I love this book. I don't know what it is about this book, but it's so good. I love it. I read it at such a happy time. I look back on this book with such fond memories. I was flying, I was traveling, and I don't generally like traveling, but I liked the place I was traveling, and I really want to reread this. This is about a boy who has to train to defeat aliens, and I love Ender. Ender is one of my favorite characters of all time, and I miss him, and I want to check up on him and make sure he's okay. So, I have the sequel, but I haven't read it because everybody says that the series gets worse, and I don't want to ruin it for myself. The next book on this list is Saga. This is a graphic novel series. It's all right here. That's not just Saga. These over are Saga. It's these ones. I would love to reread the whole series. I love these graphic novels. This is my favorite graphic novel series by far. It's a sci-fi fantasy Romeo and Juliet-esque story. It's very graphic with violence and sexual content, but it is so good. There's also a lot of swearing, so if that's something that you're sensitive to, be aware that that is in here before you make a decision. Those things don't necessarily bother me while I'm reading, but I'm so excited. I love this series. I've given them all, I think, between 4 and 5 stars. Maybe one got a 3, but one of them, but they're all so good, and the fact that we're not going to get volume 10 for a really long time is hurting me, but I guess I'll survive. That was terrifying. The last book on this list is one that I don't really talk about on this channel that much, and that is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is a signed copy. So excited. Thank you, Walmart, for coming in clutch. I loved this book, and it's about a girl who has OCD and this guy that she used to know, and she kind of has a little bit of a crush on. There's a little bit of romance in this book, but it's not what this book is about at all. It's not The Fault in Our Stars repeat at all. But it's mainly focusing on her OCD and how she deals with it, and that's something that I've always been interested in, but like particularly now, I'm like really interested in because I've had some conversations with my therapist, and noticed some things, and I'm curious because I related to it a lot the first time I read it, but I want to see if I relate to it even more now. Her name is Asa Holmes. Her best friend calls her Holmesy, and it's amazing. I don't know why I told you that. It's not important information, but I loved this book. It's about a girl who deals with OCD, and it's really just her mental health journey. I thought that this was going to be more focused on like a mystery aspect, and for that reason I wasn't excited to pick it up, but I read it anyway, and it wasn't like that at all. It was so good, and I read it fairly quickly, and I tabbed it quite a bit, so I really want to reread this one again. So, minus Saga, these are all of the books that I really want to give a reread to soon. They all meant quite a bit to me. Obviously, instead of giving a synopsis, I kind of talked about what they meant to me. I hope that's okay with you guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. And let me know any books that you want to reread. If you haven't read these, I highly recommend that you do. What one may have interested you, or interested you when I talked about it, and any other thoughts or feelings that you may have about this video or anything else in the world. We'll talk. I have to go pick up my sibling from school now, so I'm going to make another book pile on the floor. I have like 6 of them in my room. It's really okay. And I will talk to you guys later. Like I said, hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys!